Over 30 years, the TSMS Lakonia had a varied and successful history as a passenger liner, troop carrier and cruise ship. On the 22nd of December 1963, she was 550 miles northwest of Casablanca and 3 days into an 11-day Christmas cruise. At about 11 p.m, a fire caused by faulty wiring started in the ship's hairdressing salon. It spread rapidly, but the order to abandon ship wasn't given until a couple of hours later. And despite the ship passing a safety inspection 24 hours before setting sail, there were serious safety issues overlooked. Many of the lifeboats were unusable due to rusted chains, and lockers containing life-saving equipment could not be opened. Other lifeboats burned before they could be launched, and one survivor later complained that the fire alarm was so weak it sounded like someone ringing a waiter for tea. Though many survivors were picked up, there was still a heavy loss of life. Out of the 1,022 people on board, a total of 128 died. A couple of days later, some tugboats began towing the badly damaged ship to Gibraltar. But on the 29th of December, she rolled over and sank in only 3 minutes. Clivedon House, the Buckinghamshire mansion that in its time has been home to the Astor family and various dukes, but really earned its infamy in the early 60s when it became known as the place where Cabinet Minister John Profumo met topless showgirl Christine Keeler. There's nothing the great British public and the not-so-great British media like better than a sex scandal, a spy scandal or a political one. But when you get all three together, that's the best thing of all. And to this day, the Profumo affair is the one that people still talk about. Profumo met Keeler at a party organised by the society osteopath Stephen Ward and had a brief affair with her, despite being married to actress Valerie Hobson. Keeler was at the time close friends with Mandy Rice Davis, whose vivacity and ready wit brought an even greater spotlight on the affair. The scandal really developed when news of the affair spread, coupled with the revelation that Keeler was also seeing Yevgeny Ivanov, a naval attaché at the Soviet embassy. Considering Britain was in the middle of the Cold War, the security breach implications of this led to questions in the House of Commons, with Profumo compounding his disgrace by at first lying about the affair, saying there had been no impropriety whatsoever. When Profumo was finally forced to admit the truth, his position became untenable, and he resigned from the cabinet on the 5th of June 1963. The ripple effect spread to Prime Minister Harold Macmillan, who stepped down in October with deteriorating health. Stephen Ward was charged with living on the immoral earnings of prostitution and committed suicide in August, while Christine Keeler was sentenced to 9 months in prison on unrelated perjury charges concerning another boyfriend, Aloysius Gordon, known as Lucky. Keeler kept a fairly low profile during the whole Profumo affair, although she did pose for photographer Lewis Morley. The resulting shot remains one of the most iconic British images of the 1960s. In 2001, she published her autobiography, The Truth at Last. John Profumo, having kept a promise never to talk about the scandal again, died in 2006, having finally restored his reputation after many years of charity work. Mandy Rice Davis, on the other hand, had plenty to say for herself. She was called to give evidence at Stephen Ward's trial, and when the prosecution remarked that Lord Astor had denied any knowledge or relationship with her, she replied, "Well, he would, wouldn't he?" The quote has since entered popular usage, especially amongst British politicians. In fact, it was probably Rice Davis who came out of the whole Profumo scandal the best. She traded on her notoriety, married a businessman from Israel, and went on to open a number of successful nightclubs and restaurants in Tel Aviv. She also released records and worked as an actress, even appearing in an episode of Absolutely Fabulous in 1994.
Three, two, one.